Information Minister, Kojo Oppong Nkrumah, has explained that the payment of allowances to spouses of presidents and vice presidents is not anything new. According to him, the allowance payments were instituted under the Kufuor administration, but were only being formalized by the current government. President Kufuor, in his wisdom, instituted this because of the bad situations of some spouses of some former heads of states then. President Mills and Mahama even increased the rates of these benefits during their time. This issue is gradually dominating discussions in the country following claims that President Akufo-Addo had given approval for his wife, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo, and the wife of Dr. Bawumia, Mrs. Samira Bawumia, to receive the same salaries as cabinet ministers. Oppong Nkrumah told Daily Graphic that those claims were misleading. The president does not approve salaries and benefits for the executive. Under Article 71, the First Lady and Second Lady are not officeholders, so no one can determine their benefits under that article. However, a committee, on emoluments, only recommended that an arrangement for the spouses be made formal and that received approval from Parliament, he indicated. The Information Minister in the interview disclosed that, the truth of the matter is that, all surviving spouses of heads of state, current and former, have always received salaries. Lordina Mahama, Nada Mills, Matilda Amissah-Arthur, Nana Jimin Rawlings, Faustina Akimpong, Fulra Lyman etc. have all been receiving salaries since President Kufuor's time. What has happened now is that the arrangement has been made formal, but that was done legally based on the recommendation by the Emoluments Committee, in 2019, the Information Minister clarified. Let's look at America and their first ladies. The President of the United States has a Herculean job, but it is well understood. His wife, on the other hand? Like most women's, her set of responsibilities is amorphous. In decades past, these women, and so far they've all been women, have pushed for and shaped the national conversation about education, nutrition, service, health care, and more. They've acted as the public face for the administration, particularly in times of crisis. They've coordinated state dinners, ceremonies, and celebrations. And they've traveled the world both to speak for their husbands and to stand next to them. The sheer breadth of responsibilities has been baked into the position almost from the start. From Abigail Adams on, first ladies have weighed in on public debates, political appointments, and even whether the nation should go to war. In the modern era, women like Eleanor Roosevelt and Jacqueline Kennedy evolved the role further. Roosevelt delivered regular addresses on the radio and held almost 350 press conferences, nearly all of which were only open to female reporters. Kennedy took on a full-scale historical restoration of the White House during her tenure, which helped shape our current sense of the domestic duties a first spouse is supposed to fulfill. Later, Hillary Clinton famously lobbied for health care reform. Laura Bush was a staunch advocate for childhood literacy. Michelle Obama attempted to address childhood obesity one push-up at a time. But for all the rigor with which these women approached the position, the job's responsibilities have also been said to include maintaining a slavish devotion to the president and providing non-stop thankless labor. It's a massive, ever-expanding, mostly underappreciated role. And technically, first ladies are expected to do it for free. Each time a man has won the White House, his wife has been expected to relinquish her life in deference to her husband's political aspirations. And that means her job too. Worse still, she's supposed to be grateful for it. As Bill Clinton ran for president in the early 1990s, Hillary Clinton defended her career ambition when she quipped to reporters, "I suppose I could have stayed home and baked cookies and had teas, but what I decided to do was to fulfill my profession, which I entered before my husband was in public life." The public scorned her for the infamous quote, and soon enough, she was baking cookies for Family Circle magazine's first ever First Lady Cookie Bake-Off. Michelle Obama too was criticized for her ambition before, in the midst of, and even after her husband's time in the Oval Office. At a time when women across the political spectrum are talking about equal pay for equal work and there is bipartisan support for universal child care and paid family leave, it is astounding that this role has remained so antiquated. As more male politicians wed women whom they, and we, talk about as peers in work and life, the fact that we more or less force them to abandon their careers in the service of their husband's Oval Office pursuits will seem more and more outdated. For all her foibles, it's not an accident that the issues and initiatives chosen by first ladies are often a softer, more family-oriented version of their husband's policy priorities. Nancy Reagan was telling kids to say no to drugs while Ronald Reagan ramped up the war on drugs. Laura Bush, a former librarian, promoted children's literacy as George W. Bush implemented No Child Left Behind. And Michelle Obama rallied kids and families to eat healthier and exercise as Barack Obama pushed to make preventative care a hallmark of the Affordable Care Act. We've had this conversation before. When it seemed in 2016 that Hillary Clinton would win the election and Bill Clinton would then be the nation's first dude, pundits, for once, wondered whether a man would want to fulfill the same duties as the women who came before him. But it shouldn't take the prospect of a first gentleman to initiate the discussion. That stipulation should be extended to all first spouses, he or she should want that job. Laura Bush in fact raised this point to C-SPAN in 2013, a first gentleman might continue to work whatever he did if he was a lawyer, or whatever, so I think that's really the question we should ask, is should she have a career during those years that her husband is president in addition to serving as first lady? Of course it's a tad sexist to push for the unpaid duties of the first spouse to be paid now that there's a chance that a man could at last take that role. We've allowed women to do this job for centuries without real compensation for their work. But as with just about all efforts to equalize the workplace, the old motto holds true, better late than never.